everybody. Welcome to Aspects Land of a Changing Man. My name is Gold, and I'm bringing you another episode. I thank everybody for coming out to listen today. Hope that everybody enjoyed their night last night, and hope you're enjoying your night tonight. Just to remember, this is a show about my perspective, basically trying to give my perspective on seeing problems that could be occurring in relationship, and hoping that with us seeing that they can become fixable problems, and we can move to a status of, forever within our relationships. Especially with the rate of divorces being over half of the marriages that actually end in divorce, and that the rate of houses with single mothers that never get married are at an all-time high, with being about 75%. I definitely think that we need to see problems within ourselves, find the root of those problems, pull them out, and replace them with something, with more of a positive way to handle our situations, and that will help us to be able to move forward in becoming ready for the relationships that we are in. So if you want to hit me up, you definitely could do that. My email address is mplsmikid at either yahoo or gmail.com. You can hit me up on Twitter at mplsmikid, aka GOL. And if you want to find me on Facebook, you can definitely hit up Aspect Slant of a Changing Man, or you can go to YouTube with the same address, and you can find every episode that I've ever did on there. It might be cut into 2 to 3 different parts, but you definitely can find every episode that I've ever done. Well, with today's episode, I want to talk about the hard part of being in a successful relationship that people may find as the hardest thing to do. And that may be giving up who you were, as far as selfishness, or the selfish way of handling situations. When you look at a situation, especially when it comes to a relationship, a lot of people think it as the way that a kid does. And I learned this term from Christianity, as far as how God wants you to come towards Him. He wants you to come with your whole heart. He doesn't want you to hide anything behind your back, just like a kid does. If you look at a kid, they come to you, and when they don't want to give you something, or they don't want you to know that they have something, they'll hide it behind their backs. And I feel like that works with the same way of a relationship. Sometimes we do hide things behind our backs, because it makes us feel safe, it makes us feel secure, or it could be the way that we protected ourselves in the past. When you look at someone being in a relationship but having someone on the side, is basically as security. If they have always had that person that stays around, and they keep them around with a door open, so if something goes funny in a relationship, they always have someone to go to for comfort, or for sexual pleasure, or just when it's rocky, they can end the relationship and go back to that person until they find something else. That is basically a selfish way of handling the situation. And with a lot of ways, I do say this, it may be that we find these negative ways in handling a situation before, and we felt like it worked in our favor then, and we continue to do it in the same type of way. Like I was saying before, when it comes to having a person on the outside just in case the relationship doesn't work, that may worked in the past, because the relationships that you were in, you really wouldn't put 100% into them, or close those doors, and basically make everything unavailable for a just in case. When you have a just in case, you basically don't put in 100%, because there's always something there that you keep, so that if it doesn't work in the way that you want it to, you always have that. If you're in a relationship and you feel fearful about how the situation is being handled, and you think that you have to control the situation in a wrong type of way, you basically will use any term, any way that you feel is comfortable for you getting back in control of the situation. Let's say it's mental, emotional, or physical abuse. That may be the way that you've seen somebody else handling it, or that may be the way that you think that you should handle it, and you might try it out thinking that's the way. If you gaslight somebody, or you crazy make them to make them feel a different type of way, or you try to mentally break them down so that when it comes to them trying to question you, you're no longer being questioned, because you now have the mental control of the situation, which is not going to work, because I feel that it's not going to work. It may work, but I feel like it's not going to work because they're going to want out on it. They're going to question themselves so hard that they're going to want to get away from that abuse. And one day when they feel that way, they're going to get away from that, and you're going to feel the pain of not knowing how to handle the situation, or even questioning, is that the right way to handle a situation, in your selfishness. Why do I feel like we might have to give up ourselves as far as who we were to make a relationship work? Well, the reason that I feel is because we may have questionable teachings that we may have had, or we may have fear that we bring from our past into the relationship, and thinking that that is the way to get us love, but it's not. You must think that a person, I'm sorry, you must think that you must know what love is. And to me, what love is me saying that I would sacrifice the bad in me. I would sacrifice my needs or my wants for your needs. Basically, I'm willing to protect you from anything that will bring you harm, even if it is myself. And I got to protect you from that. So if I got to protect you from myself, it may be the things that I feel are the way to handle the situations, even if they're wrong. I must protect you from that. And that's what I figure that love is. So if I'm willing to, I can't say that the only hand that can put harm on you is my hand and feel that's okay, because I don't feel the same way about you towards me. I don't want you to say that the only person that can basically hurt you is myself. I must protect you from everything, physical, mental, and emotional harm, even if it comes from me. That's the way that I prove my love to you. Another way that people may feel like they have had protection against situations when it came to relationships is leaving the relationship and going to find someone else in a relationship. I was looking on Facebook today, and the person was saying, the person doesn't want to be with me anymore. What do I do? And a lot of the responses were move on, leave, go somewhere else, gather yourself, let's go find you somebody that appreciates you as far as, the relationship goes. And to me, there's two sides to every story. So when it comes to you saying that you don't know the actual situation that is coming into play when it comes to that situation, it may have been something that he's doing that says that this is why the relationship is ending. So for me, my response is, to go pray to God. Ask yourself, what did you do wrong in the relationship, instead of looking at what she may be going through as far as doing wrong. Looking at yourself, saying, what can I do better if I'm willing to change what I've done wrong? And then if I'm not, it's time for me to move on. Because if you're willing to fix whatever it is inside of yourself to make the relationship work, that that could be the key to making it work. Actually saying that you were the problem. It's easy to look at another person and saying it's your fault and this is what you're doing wrong. It's hard to look in the mirror and say, this is where I am, this is what I did, and this is what I need to change. It took me a while. It took me actually wanting to be with someone cold-heartedly to figure out about myself what I actually do wrong. It took me noticing that the enemy was not that person, but it was mostly myself. That I can actually fix the problem, but I have to fix myself to be able to fix it. I had to say, well, the old person in me, the things that I feel like I had to do to protect myself, the ways that I felt like I needed to handle situations that I felt that I learned, I don't need to do those no more. In my fear, I need to rise up in a positive. I need to push the wrong way of handling it out the way and look for a positive way to handle it. And the one thing that gets me to think that is the way to do it is because that's the one thing I want someone else to be able to do for me. When it comes to a relationship, you want it to be the same as what you're giving. If they can figure out the good way of handling the situation, you should be able to figure out how to handle it too. I don't need to go out there and cheat. I don't need to try to manipulate the situation. I don't need to put hands on anybody. What I need to do is show love. Love overcomes all. The way I gotta figure it out is how to show the love in the way that it needs to be shown to get the person to see, that I do love them, or that, this is not the way to handle the situation. I look at it as when you're going to do that, is killing them with kindness or turning the other cheek. I'm gonna let you do what you're doing, but in my love, I'm going to show you why I think that it's not the way to handle the situation. And I'm hoping that with that love, you see that and say, maybe I should handle this in a better way, because he's been handling in that type of way. I can't look at someone and hope to be a leader and just tell them what to do and that they're doing it wrong. I must be able to lead by example. And I've been saying this for the longest, that leading by example is the way to handle the situation. They may need to see that it's not the way instead of hearing it. I can show you better than I can tell you, basically, in a sense of things. But again, for me to be able to do that, I must remove myself from the situation as far as who I was and how I felt like I needed to handle the situation before, if it isn't the same type of way that I'm trying to handle it now. And for a lot of those situations, it doesn't mean that it's over or the relationship is ending. It just means that you found a new way to do it, and now you're waiting to show the person that you want to handle it in a different way. Separating to get yourself together doesn't have to be the end of the relationship. If you both love each other, and love overcomes all. And God is so good that it may be that he may push you to the side just to be able to do that, and then bring you back to the situation